Well, Annie, thank you for joining today. We're here to talk about the music industry. You work with both Smithsonian Bar and Rival Entertainment. So, how are things going?
Things are at a complete standstill, which is the super bummer because, I think we have created this whole life around entertainment.
Yeah.
And so now we're having to see streams kind of come about and see how people can translate a live show to a stream online. So it's been nice to see. It's been nice to be able to still be in touch with everyone, and we're very fortunate to have the technology that we do and the resources that we do. But yeah, it's been really different. It's been really hard. And I think the only word that I can use to describe it all is it's a total bummer. Like everyone wants to go to a show, everyone wants to get out of the house, but we're working with what we have.
So what are the talks right now as far as trying to, have music in any capacity, or how long are they looking? What's the talks right now about, have live shows or at any point?
Well, I think right now, so Smithsonian Bar is also a restaurant, so we are able to open essentially, but I think everyone's just so leery to do so because we're so uncertain of everything. This is a situation no one's been in before, so we're just kind of taking it day by day. As far as live music goes, though, unfortunately, we're seeing next year potentially. We're still holding out hope that come fall we'll be good to go, but it's not just going to be a flip switch and everything's going to go back to normal and we're going to have a sold out show again. It's going to be have to gradually go back into some kind of normalcy. So it's going to be interesting to see how that
happens. Any of the bands that were supposed to perform in this, have they tried to retool their have they been doing what what have they been doing to try to put out content still?
Right. Yeah, I think social media has just been a huge part of this because we all want to keep in touch. I think that's just kind of the human in us. We want to be able to interact with people. So a lot of our bands that we have of course, done the live streaming and everything. We've had some bands do podcasts as well, where they just kind of, people who are in the entertainment industry are obviously entertaining. Mm-hmm. So they're funny when they're online, just talking to one another. The bands are just interacting like they would on stage. So we still kind of get that live feel, how between a song they would maybe say a joke or whatever.
Yeah.
So we're getting that, and we're getting that in about the same length as you would a live show. So that's kind of what we're seeing bands do. And it's been great because they're not even expecting any kind of income. They're just we're doing this because we love it. And we still want to entertain you because we're all in this together. And I think that's been said so many times, but truly, that's the community in it. Grief is uniting. So
I think that is kind of the lifeblood of music and entertainment, is to really just go out there and, give something of yourself to the people who show up. Have you seen any kind of, are they able to still perform some of their songs or anything perform anything musically through this?
Yeah, we have seen, so some bands do live together, and I think in my head I always assume that bands live together. I'm like, you guys are just teachers in school. You think they just live in school?
Just knock down the walls.
Yeah. So we'll kind of talk to some bands, and we're like, hey, do you guys want to do a stream or something? And they're like, oh, we're not together. We don't have the capacity. And we're like, oh my God, we thought you lived together. Sorry. So, we'll see people do, if they don't live together, we always want them to, they'll do Zoom chats like this, record them, and, just throw them up online, throw them up on IGTV.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're finding ways to do it. If they're not physically together, then they can come together on a video chat and sing a song or do something acoustically or tell some jokes or whatever. So they're still, they're finding their way around it.
And are you still at this time with Smiths and Rival throughout this?
So with Rival, I was a hospitality representative for a while, so I have to be there and hands-on. So I haven't done that for a good bit, but I'm always available if they need me. Um, but Smith, since we're shut down at this point, all we have that we're working on is social media.
Yeah.
And even with that, you don't want to put content out there that's insensitive to the current situation.
Right.
So all we're really trying to do is just relay, like, if there's anything that we can give to our hospitality community. Giving Kitchen is doing so much. Music Care is, a lot of places have all these resources to help people who are out of work, and we don't. So we're just trying to relay that information. Of course, if we have a live stream going through our page, we'll post that and just like, hey, these people are going to go live. But I mean, I promote bands, I promote concerts,
Right.
So it's so different because I'm like, I don't even know what to put on social media now, because nobody wants to see us just being like, hey, like, come see us when we reopen. Like, you gotta.
Right. So right now, how are you having to shift through this? Are you still focusing? And I know you touched on Smith's wanting to promote the restaurant, but you're there to promote bands. So during this time, are you still focusing mostly on music, or is your work shifting more towards the restaurant side?
That's a great question. For me, I'm focusing on the bands because this is their livelihood, and I think the Smiths family, their owners, everyone who is staffed at Smiths is kind of at a general consensus that, like, we just want to help people that are not making money.
Yeah.
I mean, this is literally how they make their money. So it sucks that they're not able to do that. So we'll push their streams through our page. We'll ask them if they want to do the cross posting so they can reach more people, because a lot of bands will put their PayPals or their Venmos at the bottom of it and just be like, hey, like, here's the virtual tip jar if you want, you can help us out. So yeah. So doing that is
you should just like have representatives for each band go around to like homes, just like collecting like little donations.
Yeah.
But so where are their streams right now? Where are bands able to? Because I know there's Twitch, there's Facebook Live, there's YouTube. So where are you seeing a lot of bands stream music?
I think primarily we use Facebook and Instagram mostly, and that's just where we see, because those are the most popular platforms that we use. So there's so many people that have a Facebook. So yeah, we've been using YouTube to go live, but we've mostly been using Facebook and Instagram to do those things.
Well, awesome. So that's partly this was to get like an overview of like the current state of music, but I was also just kind of interested to ask like how has it been working in music the last few years, like since leaving the Mebus program.
Since our college days.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun. I'm really fortunate to be able to work in the industry that I do. I think I worked all throughout college so that I could have a job that I genuinely enjoyed.
Yeah.
And so that I only had to work one job. I always had like 4 jobs in college. Ridiculous. So it's been great. It's been so awesome just to be constantly entertained, because I think we need that for whatever reason as people. So yeah, it's been really wonderful being around live music. It's there's no other feeling.
That's one reason that I've always liked being part of like being a broadcast camera operator, is just because, and I mean that's in like multiple different, sometimes that sports, that can be any kind of live event, but every now and then at KSU they would have like bands play, or like the band play on like the campus green or for a football game, and it's that feeling of just kind of like being like the festival atmosphere of when like music is playing and it's just kind of like a nice day, and it's just that sense of being around people who are, and how badly we miss that right now. But it's just kind of like that feeling of being outdoors when entertainment is happening, that has always made me like want to just be part of that environment, like live. When did you feel like you wanted to be like in music? Like how long ago was like did you get kind of like the music bug, if you will?
Yeah, I guess I did. I started going to concerts a lot with my sister. And I loved being around a bunch of different people, and we were all there for just one reason. We all loved this one band.
Hmm.
So I always loved that, I guess, and I wanted to be a part of bringing other people together. So that was just kind of that was something that I just kind of started leaning towards, and then I just totally fell in love with live music. So I was like, I want to make this my life because
Where,
I'm not musically inclined. So
where was the show?
I'll be the back end.
Where was the show, and who was it?
I think the first show, don't laugh at me, that I really was like, oh my goodness, I love
Yeah.
music so much, was 21 Pilots.
Mm,
They come to the audience, they do so much. Their fans are more fanatics than
yeah.
anything. They're die
Like,
hard.
they
So
put
it's just
fanatic
like,
and fanatic.
yeah, yeah. So I think that was the one where I was like, I think I want to
Did you
pivot
like?
and try.
How did it like develop from then? Did you ever play music?
I think I would love it if I could, but I like to do a lot of things. So like I kind of will move from one task to another. I don't ever really perfect a single thing.
Mm.
So I think I could sit and try and play the piano for a little bit, but then I get bored and then I go and do something else or whatever. So I think I just go through my phases very quickly. That I was like, I'm never gonna I'm never gonna sit down and
Yeah.
make music. It's just not in my nature to do that. So I like to constantly be moving. So that's why the business side of everything
Yeah.
was the best route for me to take.
I'm kind of that same way. Like I have a guitar here, and I was taking guitar lessons, and like I was starting to get down Sweet Home Alabama, but like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm kind of the same. Like I would love to. I think like my brain works musically, just
Mm-hmm.
like the way I can kind of like string like words and colorful like ideas together. And so I'd
Right.
love to see. I wish I could like write a song, but
Mm-hmm.
but I'm kind of the same way. It's like I'm always this person that like if I have idle time, I'm always thinking like there's this thing and this thing and this thing and
Yeah.
this thing. So it's like I'm trying to get little bits of all of the things done at the
Right.
same time.
Yeah. And I mean, eventually you might see a song come to fruition, but it might be like a year down the line. Whereas someone who like lives and breathes their music is only gonna, it's gonna take them maybe a couple of days to perfect a song that they really like and to put it out there. So we're different. Everyone's
Yeah,
different about it.
yeah. What's been your best music experience, either before getting into like the industry or like even during the industry, like during your days in the industry?
So great. I have to say, my coworker Brittany Burdett, she has been incredible. She knows so many bands, just so many of them, and she just becomes friends with them, and it's just no big deal. She's also our assistant talent buyer at Smith's, just for clarification on that. So she has
Well,
probably,
three plugs for all.
yeah, yeah. So she's been the best. So going to shows with her specifically has been really great, because she's older and wiser than I am, and she's kind of like lived what I'm living, and so she just wants to see me have a good time. So she has, yeah. I mean, she's introduced me to so many bands locally, so many bands, that come through and tour constantly. So she has been just a constant source of fun,
Yeah.
um, and just comfort. So I think she has been my best. I'm sure that wasn't like I wish I could pinpoint a particular concert that has just been amazing, but there's just been so
Right.
many. So I think she's just been a huge part of the great experience that I've had with live music.
Well, yeah, and I think that always is kind of like what there's the thing that like you ultimately want to do, but it's always kind of like when you have the people around you that kind of make the experience like
Yeah,
fun to be around.
yeah,
That I think is great. Um,
absolutely.
where do you hope music takes you, or like is there like a goal that you've had in mind since getting into this uh, that you want to get to?
That's funny. Someone asked me that recently, and I didn't really know how to answer it. So I'm glad they
So
asked me
you've
it
had
previously, so I
time.
had time to think about it. Um, Yeah, because I mean, throughout college, I just wanted to be in live music. So I am in live music and it's wonderful. And I'm having such a good time and enjoying life that I was like, I actually don't really remember what my primary goal was other than just being in live music. But I initially wanted to either be a tour manager or to help manage a festival.
Hmm.
So I think tour managing is the one thing that I'm like, I would really be upset if I never got to experience
Yeah.
it. And
For
I like through
the travel
college.
aspect, or just like the ability to just kind of like be in like a van and being like on the road and doing that.
Yeah, I think it's just the tight knit group of a tour team
Mhm.
that I'm leaning towards wanting. So yeah, that's one thing that I just want to do. I do love traveling. I think that's such a fun thing to do, but you get homesick after a while. You do want to come home. So I think yeah, just the tight knit family that kind of comes with the tour team is what I really want. I've always told it it's like a glorified babysitter, which I'm willing to do. I'll be
Hey,
babysitter.
hey, like you sound like it's a it's a bad thing. But yeah, I've always like, I guess I've always like romanticized being in like a VW van and just getting to like
Yeah,
roam like the countryside and like and you know I've kind of had this like idea as well of being like a videographer for a band and getting to like be part of like the journey.
yeah.
Um,
I remember that dream of yours.
yeah,
Let's get
I,
you through it.
who are your favorite bands right now? Like who are you listening to during this time?
Goodness. So I think I have been finding my bands through going to their shows and not knowing them. So I think Stoplight Observations has become a big. I'm a big fan now. Little Stranger, I have been keeping up with them religiously. They're like white boy reggae rap hip hop. Like there's no genre for them. They're great. I don't know what else I've been listening to. Killer Whale. That's a new one that I found. They're really good. Brittany introduced me to them as
Okay.
well. So yeah, so they're great.
Bands?
What was that?
Are these all Atlanta bands?
No, some of them I think they're based in Charlotte, which actually a lot of bands. Killer Whale, I believe, is
Yeah.
Atlanta local, but I actually don't know that. But the other two I think are out of somewhere North Carolina, which so many good bands come out of there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then just my
I
typical
say that like
classic rock.
I say this saying like I wish I was more familiar with like the whole like and this is part of why doing these zooms like I want to get more
Mhm.
into talking music because
Yeah.
I really like I'm a huge music fan. My brother turned me onto so much music, so much indie
Mhm.
stuff, and like before all of this happened, like my plan was to start going out to see a lot more shows. Go to
Mhm.
this, go to. I love Eddie's Attic. I love their Monday
Yeah.
like the open mics, and so like that was one thing that I was planning on doing was getting out to a lot more shows. So
Mhm.
I'm thrilled to like hear more about the bands that like you're listening to and like can recommend.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. When someone asks you something and then your mind just immediately goes blank. So I really like easy listening kind of music. So I've been listening to Lake Street Dive and The Dip as well. I think they're kind of like old school sounding and they're just like, I don't want to say good background music, but they're just good to have around,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. So it just makes you feel good.
Yeah,
And
the
so
artist I've been
those are
listening,
some bands you can listen to.
the artist I've been listening to is Phoebe Bridgers, and,
Yeah.
just like kind of like that whole Boy Genius like trio, and now I know Haley Williams has kind of like
Yeah. Yeah.
gotten into that too, but like especially on like rainy. There was a while back where it was just like really rainy, and it was just like
Hmm.
perfect like coffee weather.
Yeah. That was
And
the
it was
mood
like
music.
yeah, it seemed like it looked like a tavern in here.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
having like Julian Baker and like Phoebe
Hmm.
Bridgers and like the whole buoyancy and like they only have like I know that they probably have like more like bigger catalogs, but it's like they all have like one live show or like one thing that like you and it's like I'm listening to like the same songs like kind of over and
Hmm.
over, but like
Hmm.
they're just such great songwriters that like
Right.
it's there's little things to get out of each song, like each little part.
Yeah.
Like I kept listening to them, just like I am
Mhm.
really like into like this style of music.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. That's one style of music that I haven't dabbled too much in, just because I get so stuck on who I'm listening to that I
Yeah,
just
me
can't.
too. And that's part of like why I like to have this
Yeah.
conversation, because like you know I to save money, like I don't have streaming services. I listen through
Mhm.
YouTube only, but I mean that so like sometimes it's like I can find like a really good I can like find a lot of new artists like through like clicking around, and sometimes I get
Yeah.
into the road thing of just like searching like the same artists that I've been
Mhm.
listening to. um and so like where do you, how are you like getting your music? Is it through streams, or like what's like your kind of your way of like finding music?
God, I have to say Spotify. Spotify kicks ass in that department. I mean, they just their algorithm, I don't know. It's fantastic. Their Discover Weekly like is usually on point unless I get off into like Elvis or something, and then it throws it way off. It's like I actually don't know what you like. I don't know what to send you. But yeah,
What
Spotify
I'm
Discover
into
Weekly.
is like I want to throw off the algorithm to the point it's like
It does get interesting sometimes because it's a whole playlist of just music that they think that you're gonna like. So it's kind of nice just to have it on and hear something you just love and then find that artist, and
YouTube
it's
likes to do
great.
the thing, like especially with their ads, that'll have like it'll have like the option where you're able to like do a click down that's like I don't want to see this ad anymore, or like I don't want to see
Yeah,
recommendation, and the reason
yeah.
like I'll just say it's like inappropriate, and it's just like but it's just like I'm hoping that after a while like YouTube is just goes like, oh, he doesn't like anything
Yeah.
we recommend him.
Like, not only do I hate ads, but I think this is very inappropriate. Take this away from
Like
me.
never again. I hope it'll break YouTube's algorithm.
They're like,
Um,
we can't give you ads anymore, Neil. We don't know what to give you. We don't know what to
but
sell you.
but anyway, so getting it back onto music, and I'm getting kind of like to the end of my questions here, but what have you learned since and what and I may have asked this question, but what's like the one thing like you've learned from Brittany, or like who's been like what's really taught you like the most being in the industry?
Mm, I think I've learned that everything can be learned. So I think just being a good person to be around in the workplace is really, really essential. I don't like to be around people that just bring you down.
Hmm.
Not everything is that big a deal. So I don't want to be working in live music and be around people that are bumming me out. So I think just being kind and trying to be positive. And it's tough sometimes, you have your days, but I think just being a good person to be around is the one thing that I've really learned, because everything can be learned.
Right.
So,
And I mean, what better avenue to be in than music, or doing something
yeah,
that you find rewarding. Uh,
yeah.
and so on that, like during this time right now, this is kind of a question like when it's music is not as accessible, like how are you trying to like get like manage like through this time currently?
I will say when we found everything out where we were going to be shutting everything down, there was like a week where I actually didn't listen to any music because I was so upset about it that I was like, I don't want to
The music
associate.
reminded you that music wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, I don't want to associate this bad time with such good music that I'm like never going to be able to listen to.
Music, like you were doing the thing like this is like I don't want to hear any music. It is inappropriate. Please do not send me.
Right. I can't do this. It's not appropriate right now. So I was so upset. I just didn't listen to music for a little bit. But so I was listening to podcasts. So listening to people talk and having a good time and just some form of escapism through other people bantering is what I did, and what I'm continuing to do. I'm listening to music again, if I should say that. I like a constant influx of streaming and music. It's great. But yeah, podcasts I mean, I always listen to podcasts, but now even more so. I'm like, I want to go back and listen to older podcasts before any of this happened, because I don't even want to hear the word quarantine. I don't want to hear anyone talk about this.
Are these music podcasts?
No, actually, they have nothing to do with music. It's murder podcasts. So there's that. We love range, you know.
Well, it's a cycle. It's like you go back to music to become inspired, and then in order to like create the cycle again, it's like you gotta find that thing that kind of like scares you.
Yeah.
Any particular any that you recommend?
Yeah, My Favorite Murder. I think everyone knows about My Favorite Murder at this point, but they're just so funny. It's just two women just chatting it up, and then they're like, "Okay, let me tell you about this death I heard of," and we're like, "Oh shit, let's talk about it." So it's great. They're funny.
You should have watched the NFL draft.
I know nothing about sports ball, and Neil, you know this.
I know, but this is a topic of the draft. How every time the player was chosen, they had all these backstories about like the players, like family, like trauma and all of that. So that was
sick. That's great.
So anyway, getting and this is my last question, unless something comes up within the last answer, is when things return to normal, what's the first show or what's our first artist you want to go see?
I really want to see Lake Street Dive, and I had tickets to the Dip, and of course, I can't go. So yeah, probably them, just because I haven't seen them live yet. But my favorite live show is probably Stoplight Observation. So if they were to throw another show out there, I would definitely try to go to that.
Well, awesome. This has been. I've learned a lot. I've gotten a lot of names that I've never heard of. So I'm really interested to go through this and make a tally of all the names that you threw out, and
Good, yeah, go dabble, go listen to some music, Neil. We need it.
We need it.
Yeah, we do.
Well, anyway, are there any last like things you want to say before calling it a day?
I mean, if anyone has made it to the end of this interview, it was entertaining enough to get here. Yeah, music is resilient, so we will go to a live show again.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Annie. It's really great to catch up and hear from you again.
Ditto.